Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Steuben County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers and listeners advisory video cast. And I have my hat on because I am recording this in the community room at the library. And if you ever hung out here in the community room at the library in winter, it can be a little bit chilly in here. So my hat is to keep my head warm. So without further ado, here's Library Connections. Library Connections number 128. This is the Friday, January 13th, 2023 edition of Library Connections. Jumping right in with the top 5 fiction bestsellers for this week from the New York Times. At number 1, It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. In the sequel to It Ends With Us, Lily deals with her jealous ex-husband as she reconnects with her first boyfriend. At number 2, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. A battered wife, raised in a violent home, attempts to halt the cycle of abuse. At number 3, Verity by Colleen Hoover. Loan Ashley is hired by the husband of an injured writer to complete her popular series, and she uncovers a horrifying truth. At number 4, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. A scientist and single mother living in California in the 60s becomes a star on a TV cooking show. And at number 5, Without a Trace by Danelle Steele. Charles Vincent meets someone who ignites his passion and must decide whether to walk away from his perfect from the outside life. Moving on to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week. At number 1, The Light We Carry by Michelle Obama. The former First Lady shares personal stories and the tools she uses to deal with difficult situations. At number 2, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. The actress and filmmaker describes her eating disorders and difficult relationship with her mother. At number 3, The January 6th Report by the House January 6th Committee. The final report of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, with a foreword by Ari Melber. This is the Harper edition of the report. At number 4, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. How trauma affects the body and mind, and innovative treatments for recovery. And at number 5, The January 6th Report by the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. The final report of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, with a preface by David Remnick and an epilogue by Representative Jamie Raskin. This is the Seldan edition of the book. Our first recommended read for this week is the new novel Age of Vice by Deepti Kapoor. In Kapoor's searing portrait of India at the turn of the 21st century, finely wrought characters go to great lengths to escape the bonds into which they were born. AJ, from a desperately poor family and sold into servitude by his mother at 8 in 1991, begins working for Sunny Wada, an unhappy playboy and scion of a powerful family, in 2001. Sunny's father Bunty and mysterious Uncle Vicky hold sway over whole swaths of the Indian economy and political landscape. Neda Kapoor is a cynical journalist, first drawn to Sunny by a corruption story she is writing, but is soon caught in the vortex of Sunny's lavish lifestyle of endless parties, drugs, and conspicuous consumption, facilitated by the ever-present AJ. Sunny dreams of creating new cities and carving a new path for himself, but he is emasculated by his father's hold on the family empire. As Sunny and his friends' behavior becomes increasingly reckless, AJ is made a scapegoat for a shocking fatal car accident, and Neda witnesses in full the ethical morass upon which the WADA's success is built. Kapoor's violent and bitter story is deeply addictive. This spellbinder would be easy to devour in one big gulp, but it's worth savoring for Neda's uncompromising take on what she terms India's losing age, the age of vice. The author possesses a talent great enough to match the massive scope of her subject. And that's the Starred Publishers Weekly Review. Moving on to our second recommended read for this week. This one's a thriller. It's the new Stacey Willingham, All the Dangerous Things. Isabel Drake desperately hopes to mobilize the true crime community's armchair detectives to find her son Mason, who was abducted from his bedroom a year earlier. Ignoring the protests of her estranged husband Ben and the case's lead detective, Isabel speaks at CrimeCon, confiding her horror at finding Mason's crib empty the morning he disappeared. Online detectives label Isabel as either pitiable or plain evil. How could someone have taken Mason from the house without even the dog barking? Also, doesn't Mason's disappearance cast suspicion on the early deaths of Ben's first wife and Isabel's younger sister? The doubters don't know that Isabel, formerly a deep sleepwalker, has suffered untreatable insomnia since Mason vanished, or that she's obsessively tending an evidence board on her dining room wall. Podcast host Waylon Spencer, also a crime victim, offers to investigate Mason's disappearance, and Isabel exposes herself even further. But Waylon has hidden motives, and when she catches him lying, Isabel realizes that she's been in denial about Mason's disappearance all along. True crime's trending appeal and Willingham's mastery of the domestic mystery promise popularity for this one. Fans of Lisa Gardner's Frankie Elkin series will be drawn to the risky amateur detective elements, and those who crave resolution will appreciate that Willingham tucks the story's end in tight. And that's the Booklist review. And we're on a thriller kick this week. These first two recommendations are both kind of thrillery, as are the next two, so let's keep on going. Our first audiobook recommendation for this week is the new novel, A Small Affair by Flora Collins. The audio is read by Terry Schnaubelt. A young woman's life is torn apart when her wealthy ex-lover is found dead, along with his wife. Vera is ruthlessly ambitious and beautiful, and she knows exactly how to get what she wants, no matter who stands in the way. When she meets a wealthy older man on an exclusive dating app, she thinks nothing of the wife he tells her he's separated from. But days later, when the man and his wife are found dead in their home, Vera is immediately blamed for their deaths and branded as good as a murderer. A year later, she emerges from a cocoon of self-pity and tries to re-enter the world, but the specter of scandal still clings to her. Then she's invited to a memorial for the wife of her former lover, and as she learns more about the family and about the couple and their friends, she begins to suspect that there was more to the story than an affair gone wrong. In a quest for redemption, Vera uncovers layers of lies and close-kept secrets held by an inner circle of filthy rich tech millionaires who will go to any lengths to protect their reputations. Our second audiobook recommendation for this week is the Louis Bayard novel, The School of Night. The audio is read by Robert Petkoff. From Louis Bayard, an ancient mystery, a lost letter, and a timeless love unleash a long-buried web of intrigue that spans 4 centuries. In the late 16th century, 5 brilliant scholars gather under the cloak of darkness to discuss God, politics, astronomy, and the black arts. Known as the School of Night, they meet in secret to avoid the wrath of Queen Elizabeth. But one of the men, Thomas Harriot, has secrets of his own. Secrets he shares with one person only, the servant woman he loves. In modern-day Washington, D.C., disgraced Elizabethan scholar Henry Cavendish has been hired by the ruthless antiquities collector Bernard Stiles to find a missing letter. The letter dates from the 1600s and was stolen by Henry's close friend Alonzo Wax. Now Wax is dead, and Stiles wants the letter back. But the letter is an object of interest to others too. It may be the clue to a hidden treasure. It may contain the long-sought formula for alchemy. It most certainly will prove the existence of the group of men whom Shakespeare dubbed the School of Night, but about whom little is known. Joining Henry in his search for the letter is Clarissa Dale, a mysterious woman who suffers from visions that only Henry can understand. In short order, Henry finds himself stumbling through a secretive world of ancient perils, caught up in a deadly plot, and ensnared in the tragic legacy of a forgotten genius. So there's another thriller with a historical bent. Want more reading, listening, and viewing recommendations? Check out the Tech and Book Talk blog, which offers weekly and monthly recommendations, and the back catalog of Library Connections videos found on the Southeast Steuben County Library's YouTube page. Moving on to our next section, next week at the library, taking a brief look at events and activities hosted by the library on site and off for the week ahead of us. This time around, it's the week of January 16th through the 21st, 2023. This information is also found online. Simply visit the library's website located at ssclibrary.org and click on the big bold calendar link you'll see located near the top of the page. And on a registration note, registration is required for programs unless otherwise specified, or if the program is of the online on-demand variety, then of course simply help yourself. You can register for programs through the library's website by calling the library at area code 607-936-3713 or by just plain dropping by. The library, of course. So on Monday, January 16th, the library is closed in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Happy reading. On Tuesday, January 17th, we have a whole host of programs to bring to your attention. The first is Coffee, Tea, and English Vocabulary from 9:15 to 10:15 a.m. This program is a hybrid program being held both at the library in person and online. Then from 10 to 10:30 a.m., we've got Story Time with Miss Sue. This program is being held in the children's section, currently on the second floor of the library building. Moving on to our third program, Coffee, Tea, and English Conversation from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. This program is also hybrid, held at the library in person and online. Then from 1 to 3 p.m., we have Adult Scrabble, which is held in the library's reading room. Moving on to the afternoon programs on Tuesday, January 17th. The first from 2 to 3 p.m. is an LSC author talk, this time out with best-selling author and decluttering expert Dana K. White. Dana is creator of the popular podcast and blog, A Slob Comes Clean, and she will impart tips from her books, Organizing for the Rest of Us and Decluttering at the Speed of Light. This is an online program, so you have to register and obtain the link through the library's calendar of events. So you go to ssclibrary.org, click on the calendar link that you'll see located near the top of the page, then look for January 17th and the title of the program, which it says LSC Author Talk at 2 p.m. And if you click or tap on that, you'll get to the page where you have information about the program and can access the link. And just FYI, by the way, if you miss any of these LSC author talks and would like to watch the video later, they are recording them, so that's also the way you would access the video from previously recorded author talks. And moving on to our next program from 3 to 4:30 p.m., we have the weekly GATLIS, which stands for Gay at the Library After School. GATLIS offers a safe and supportive space for youth to talk about gender, sexuality, and what's going on in their lives. It's open to persons age 11 to 18, which is grades 6 through 12, and is co-hosted by the library and Planned Parenthood of Greater New York. Your host for the program is Carmen Greco of Planned Parenthood of Greater New York. And then from 6 to 7 p.m., we have another drive-by event that is full, but FYI, if you've registered for it, it's the January Drive-Through STEM pickup. So if you've already registered for this program, you want to drive by the library between 6 and 7 p.m. on the 17th to get the kit to create Frosty's Bubbles, whatever that is. I'm afraid I don't know, but Frosty's Bubbles is what they're making this month. Moving on to the 18th, our first program of the day is Miss Sue's Preschool Story Time, which will be held in the Children's Department on the second floor of the library. Then from 12:10 to 1 p.m., book sandwiched in, Beautiful Country by Wang. The presenter is Pam Walker, who will, of course, be discussing the book. And the program is held at the First Congregational Church, which is at 171 West Pulteney Street in Corning, also via Zoom. From 1 to 3 p.m., we've got Mei Zhang, which is held in the reading room at the library. And then moving on to the afternoon programs, later in the afternoon on January 18th, we've got Atlas, which stands for At the Library After School, which offers kids an opportunity to do something fun and relaxing after school. You don't have to register, just show up. Then from 6 to 8 p.m., we have the weekly at Corning Adult Writers Group, which is held both at the library and via Zoom, so it's hybrid. That one you have to register for. Moving on to Thursday, January 19th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., there's the drop-in program, Kids Explore Homeschool Group Ice Skating. During this time, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., homeschoolers can skate for a discounted admission of only $2. You can bring your own skates or rent a pair for only $1. This program is a partnership program between the library and the City of Corning Parks and Recreation Department. Then from 10 to 11:30 a.m., it's the Coffee, Tea, and English Book Club. This is a hybrid program held both at the library in person and via Zoom. On Friday, January 20th, we've got 3 programs in Library Land. The first actually is full from 10 to 11 a.m. It's Artful Storytime 3. This is a storytime session followed by arts and crafts for kids ages 3 to 6. Then from noon to 1 p.m. we have another event that is full. This is for young adults. And I'm talking about these 2 events that are full because if you've already registered, it's just a reminder. If you haven't registered, but it sounds interesting to you and you've got kids of the proper age, you might want to contact the head honcho of each program to see about upcoming programs in the series. And having said that, let me get back to the second program there, which is Artsy Kids 3 from noon to 1 p.m. This is the 3rd program in a 4-week session of art, history, and painting, and it's recommended for homeschooled children ages 7 through 12. Then from 1 to 1:20 p.m. approximately, there's the debut of the new episode of Library Connections, a weekly readers and listeners advisory video cast. And you can access that on Facebook and YouTube. And here briefly are the library programs contacts. If you have any questions about any library programs, let us know. That's the program for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition of Library Connections. Stay warm.